Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, today I'm talking about Joel Goldsmith's book, The Art of Spiritual Healing. It fell into my lap. It's been a tough one for me in that there are so many subheadings. I was trying very hard to wrap my head around, can I remember it all? But I'm trusting in Spirit to guide me through. I also want to point out my lower thirds with my friend Chris Bentley, who is a true purist for Goldsmith's work, and his website is iwstudents.webs.net. I highly recommend, if you have questions, you would be going to someone who has lived this a long time. I'm a beginner, but I'm working away at it, and I am totally enthralled with how much Goldsmith from Christian Science and my background has given me, and I am incredibly grateful. So thank you for joining me. Today, when we think about spiritual healing, we got to know what it is. Why does it exist? Spiritual healing has been out for a long time. Churches are involved with spiritual healing, organizations are. My suspicion is it's been out a long time because we are confused here. We have to go inner, and as Joel says, God needs us as spiritual healers, as workers for the truth of what mysticism is telling us. Jesus being the finest and the most perfect spiritual healer, and many practitioners who have brought a very high calling to their consciousness can spiritually heal. They have to know who they are to do that. So who are they? Well, Joel tells us we all come from the Garden of Eden. We're all whole, complete. We are divine love. We have everything within us. There's nothing to do here as far as gather information for spiritual healing. There is only a letting go of this plane. This human existence is so overwhelmingly dense and in our minds that we must remember and be gracious with ourselves and kind. It's very, very difficult sometimes to cut through generation after generation of spoon feeding of fear. We go to school, we learn it. We go to church and we learn it. We go anywhere and there it is. We're mesmerized, we're hypnotized, and I think that's a big point about this program today is please honor the fact that you're on a tough path. You're letting go of so much, and it's a lot of hard work. So when I think of the hard work, I think about, did anyone tell you who God really was, or did you make it up all by yourself? It's an experience that you have to find by yourself to know what that is. No one can really tell you, and the chances may be good that someone pointed out their thoughts about who God was. What did he look like? What are his rules? What is the danger if you do not love God and all that he stands for? Is there a problem if you don't get what God is? So yes, we have set up in our religions and in many healing institutions the thought that if you don't do it this way, you're not doing it right, and you really should blame yourself and be ashamed. Joel talks a lot about being ashamed when we really can fall off the path of spiritual healing, the path of spiritual vision and knowledge. So if you fall off the path, Jesus fell off the path. He asked not to go to the cross. He asked his disciples to pray with him. He had his frail moments, few and far between, but he did know who he was. He did know he would be resurrected. He did know the power of he being so involved with his Father. He and his Father were one. We are all one with God. I and my Father are one. The kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours here on earth. And to get there requires some study, obviously deep, deep meditation and thought, and going down the wrong detours is a sure way to come back in to the knowledge of who you are. All right, so yes, we take detours. We've been told, maybe with good intention, who we are, who God is, what our role is, what the earth plane is about. What do we seek? Are there trinkets out there that look appealing? Are we distracted? Let's face it, friends, when you're born, even as a child playing with toys, it seems to be we grow from one distraction to another. In many ways, that keeps us from being inner because we're busy, busy, busy. It's that kind of planet, and today I don't know if it's any busier. I would like to think it's all relative, but we certainly have our electronic and technological devices, and we all have places to go to be distracted and to not think about who we are or to have the experience of God. So, Joel mentions in one of his subtitles, which I'm trying to remember them all, is God your servant? And that's kind of an interesting thought. If being a mystic means surrender and only listening to the still small voice, you can't put your laundry list out there. You can't put your desires out there, what you want, you cannot go there and be a mystic. You've really got to be an empty vacuum. Now that's not easy to understand maybe because we've been taught to use these minds and this body, which by the way were gifts from God to us. They are instruments. The mind is an instrument of God so that we may receive the voice, and the body is totally taken over by God. He beats our heart. He makes all the organs work. Everything is the temple of the living God. Everything is perfect. And it's not your body, it's God's body, it's consciousness body like the mind. It's perfect. It's whole, complete, and perfect. So my friends, again, don't plead for anything. You're in the way. You're pleading to something that you think is human. God is a vast vortex of incredible love, incredible peace, and not just, he's an alive, vital, very vital presence. Peace can be vitally alive. So when you go to God, empty out all that you think you want. Find time to be inner, which should be round the clock as you grow in your practice. In the art of spiritual healing, that is what is being asked of us. And we will do that without having to be told, and I'll tell you why. You know, if you wake up and all of a sudden you're on the path, you might think, well, I've stepped up on the path. I did it all by myself. Well, my friends, you did not do it by yourself. You were put on the path. Everything that's going on for you comes from grace. Grace is from God. If you wake up one day and realize you cannot turn back on being a spiritual healer, there's no place to go, you have to do it. That's just the way it is. Only you wouldn't have planned that. It's been planned for you. We're all at so many different stages of enlightenment. We all have so much to give. But just please remember, when you're ready, the universe, God, all power, all love, all peace, all harmony, all abundance will put you there. He'll make it happen for you, and it's kind of a neat miracle. I love that things just happen. Yep, miracles happen every day. God knows your every move, your every thought. And if you're quiet enough and you wake up to the eternal voice, you have nothing else to do except listen. Now, I make it sound easy, and he is very compassionate about falling off the path because we all do it, and we shouldn't beat ourselves up and be ashamed. This is a pretty hard dimension to cut through. It requires lots and lots of work. Lifetimes, minute by minute. We keep getting slapped back there if we find we're uncomfortable. If we're not seeing our brothers and sisters as who we are, that's kind of a heads up. Okay, what's wrong with that? We need to shift our thinking. We need to remove ourselves from what we think we see. We've got appearances out there, and we label things. We put people in groups, and we see them with labels that sometimes are not divine and perfect and whole. So there's a heads up that you need to go within and see them even if they are dense, even if you don't like them. And what is interesting is I'll talk to you a little bit more about not liking them. I get a kick out of Joel's work when he says, okay, so you say to God, look, I'm having a real hard time with this. Can you do this for me? And that's the place to go. Because if divine love is your center, then He will do it for you. The worst person you know, just let it go. Ask God to do it for you. Tell Him, I can't do it. I'm having a struggle here. I'm stuck. All right, so God will intervene. But you know what's interesting about folks being in your life and not, even family members? You're on a spiritual path. You need your spiritual buddies. It's perfectly good to have that. Even though this trip, you're totally alone on this trip, you have a right to spiritual companionship. You have a right to feed each other, nourish each other, support each other. Now let's say you have a family member who thinks you really are not, you're a little nuts. Or you have friends who talk behind your back like, oh, there she goes, that mystic, she really doesn't relate here, she doesn't understand, she's really a whack job. Well, you know what? Everyone is perfect where they are. They're perfect where they are. You're perfect where you are, but you have a complete right to sort of let that go. Lose them. Lose the family that doesn't work for you or the friends that don't work for you. In love, knowing, you know, they're going to make it on their own time. You don't have to fix them. What you have to do is keep your work up, being grounded and centered every day, and be guided as to where you can serve. And what's kind of nice about where you can serve is, you know, God did give you talents. He is so responsible for every talent you've got, every energy you've got. All your gifts were given to you. Everything about you has been given to you by someone who loves you more than you will ever know. It's a divine love with compassion, understanding, but He wants you to use those gifts or He wouldn't have given them to you. So use them. Find something, he said, Joel says, you love. Livelihoods can come from something that you really love. Take the break. If you have to leave a job because you're stale, things feel dead, the creative impulse, the divine creative principle, which is ruling this entire universe, you're feeling a little like you're plateauing. You're stuck. All right, take that chance. There's never a failure here. If you have to move on, don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as the courage to say, I'm not functioning on the highest level, serving who I really am inside, because the joy and the love within me, I'm not feeling it. So go find it and feel it. Yep, go find it, pour it out somewhere else. Believe me, divine love will be sure that door is open for you. You can't get away from your journey. If you're on the path, you're on this journey and you can't get off it. Even when you transition, you will go to a higher place. Believe me, you're on the path, you'll be on the path forever. And those folks you have worked with on the path are with you. There's those in spirit that have worked with you are with you. And you'll all keep working together. I know how my father and Joy and my dog Miranda are with me all the time. I mean, we're working together. I chuckle as we work together and talk about things. I feel their support and their love. We're here to do something special, and believe me, all the work you do goes with you. Now, this plane is not real. The only thing that's real, get the basic rule here about divine healing, spiritual healing, the only thing here that's real is love. You have everything. Two magic words are as. God as you. God as you. God as me. God as everyone. It's not God and man separating two powers, because man is human. It's God as you. You are a divine expression of that divine love. You were made for this journey, for this mission, for this lifetime. It's all been cut in stone. When you're a child, Joel mentions even babies are complete when they're born. They come through the divine seed. Parents are used as the transparency for life. But honestly, all of us are God's children. We are all then, we've all inherited each other, so we're all brothers and sisters. What do you think of that? There's one parent. And so all of our children are being taken care of. And maybe that's a good omen for us when we see things going wrong and we've done all we can, is to know they're always going to be okay. because they are deeply loved and guided, and they will find the way. We all find the way sooner or later. And why that happens is because we need to find the experience. You know, we're restless. If we get restless here, when we have everything, when everything's looking great, it's funny how that plateaus. It's not enough. We have to go home. We all want to go home. On the deepest level, that's the problem. We all want to be out of here. We may not be conscious of it, but we do notice, you know, our flagging spirit. And especially when everything looks so great. How can that be? Well, nothing here is going to make you as happy as being home. Even Adam and Eve thought they were creators. We all, if we think our little I, our personal I, is creating here without God, that's going to fall short. That's going to get tiring. That's going to be filled with fear, one-upping, taking advantage of others, thinking that may be success or how to get ahead. That's never going to work. That's not who you are, and that's what's going on here. You're not that. You're so much more than that. You're everything. You've got everything. And the most important thing you have is that voice. So, you got that voice never lets you down. It's a warmth. When you go into that feeling of warmth, it floods you. You have to hug the I am that you are. Your is, God is, your isness. You're on the field. God is always on the field. All you have to do is open up. Your job is to open up to that divine energy. You have to do that yourself. You're alone on your journey. As much as we love our spiritual friends and camaraderie, you are alone. And you know, that comforts me in the sense that if you are alone, that's the perfect setup for a spiritual healer. And I'll tell you why. Spiritual healers, when they really go into spiritual healing, like Jesus did, are very unique folks. They don't have a big social life. They may not be taking care of their families. They may live very quietly alone, 24/7, being on deck for someone who needs them. Now, they don't go out and try and heal anybody that's not calling on them. That is just not something they do. If you want a treatment, if someone has a claim from this dimension, this human dimension that isn't real, the healer has to be in a place where he's constantly aware of the presence. There is no fear. There can be no fear in a spiritual healer, because when someone comes and they are loving and they listen so carefully, they want to help, they can only see the nothingness of the claim. That's the treatment. God made you. It's corrected. It does not exist. And the healer needs to be in an environment, he has to set himself up to live like that. And as Joel says, you know, if you're going to be a healer, whether you like it or not, you got the job. If it calls to you, there's no turning back. That's what you're going to do. If that happens to you, rejoice. Rejoice in this whole planet that is vibrating. Rejoice in all the love that's within you that you need to pour out. And here's another example of how to have supply. If you want to have supply, you have to give it. That's the trick. You got to give it out to have it. To realize the presence, you have to put it out there. You have to put your love out there. You have to do your work. That's how you realize God. You give it away. That's supply. No matter how little it may be, all relative to what you have to offer, you can be richer than the biggest millionaire, because you're giving away so much of what you have all the time. In spirit, in material goods, you care for others. Supply is giving. If you don't give it, you don't have it. That's as simple as that. It's very, very simple. Give it away to have it. Give your love away to realize your power. And when we do that, you'll notice how full you feel. How you walk on water, that you feel the warmth, you feel the flood. And I want to get back more to that warmth. Yeah, feeling in the presence, going deep enough into the everlasting arms to feel the warmth and the love and the peace. And the peace is vital. It's not going to sleep. It's feeling very alive. That's peace. And it's listening. It's listening, and it's excited because when it gets hunches, when it gets feelings, those are all God speaking to you. It doesn't have to be a ticker tape sentence. It can just be a knowing. It can be somebody saying something to you that's an answer to something that you needed to hear. Prayer and communion with God comes in every which way you can imagine. It comes with the weather. It comes from whether you're not supposed to do something or something's canceled. You know, you got to accept the journey that someone is at the helm. Someone is in charge of your life fully. You hang on for the ride. You rejoice in it. It's fun. It's fun. I'm telling you, what makes it exciting is when you go through a lot of stress and trauma here and loss, you know, we do have to get in touch with loss. Let me talk about death. Joel talks about one body. Okay, there's not a spiritual body, there's not a material body, there's one. It's the body of Christ, which is within all of us. We all have the body of Christ. We're one body. We're all perfect, our hearts are beaten, all the organs work for us. With one body, we gotta be simple. You know, mysticism, it's so simple it gets by us. Let's just stare at that. It is too simple. It's gotten by us for centuries. And Joel is one of those mystics like God, Mary Baker Eddy, Buddha, who's trying to help us with this simplicity, because that one body is it. You've got brothers and sisters everywhere. We're all connected. You're being given a job. You go out every day. You're being given your instructions. You've got to listen carefully. And let's talk more about listening. You got to find time, which is what spiritual healers do. They have to do that. Morning, noon, and night. They are on deck. They are listening. They don't live in fear. They know better, because they embrace the depth of sinking into the everlasting arms. You have to work at that. Sometimes you may say, I can't get there, I can't feel it, I don't feel the warmth. All right, try again. But you persist. I think we're all pretty persistent characters. That's my thinking, is we all keep trying. Oh, and you know, you don't need a method to get to God. You don't have to try anything. You just have to accept the gifts. Don't go to him saying, I'm on this journey, and if I do this, or I'm going to go this route to get to you. You don't need a method. You just need silence. You just need quiet. And you know, I think it becomes automatic as you go through your days. You cultivate it at home or wherever you are, but it starts to go out with you wherever you go. You're aware of it wherever you are. It's just with you. And then all of a sudden, you're not even asking for it. It's just hitting you over the head all the time. You're getting head slaps. It's very cool, to say the least. You walk on water. You don't fear loss. Yes, we all transition, and we all lose people, and that is hard. We miss them. But enlightened people know we're not here forever. We go from babyhood to adolescence to maturity, and yeah, we get old. But you know, our souls are not old. This body is because we have an experience here. And as we honor that experience, we can just let go of what our bodies look like. Not always easy, but your soul does not age. It's perfect. Like children come in totally whole and complete. They're just on a journey. They have an assignment. And you might be the parents, you might not. But it helps us to sort of really know that they're in such good hands. Your soul is alive always, and the enlightened know when you transition, when you pass over, you're just going higher up. That's all you're doing. There's no death. And human beings think there is, because they fear it, and they create it. They create disease. We haven't talked much about medicine, but you know, spiritual healers are they're not going to say don't go to a doctor. They're not going to say that. They're going to honor wherever you are. We have come a long way with our medical, our physical, our spiritual, our technological. In every way, we have advanced on this plane. I mean, we don't ride horses anymore. We fly planes. I mean, our material world is different. Everything has evolved and grown in this dimension. And that's to be applauded and appreciated, especially all those medical advances. They save lives. My life has been saved many times with medical procedures. And I'm grateful. I know God was there on the helm. He was on the field for me. Now, spiritual healing. Let's talk a little bit more about eradicating that. There is a suggestion for sure that spiritual healers like to see our thinking about disease and loss and illness. It can disappear if we understand that it's not real. Now, when it's not real, it means it's not permanent. That's right. The only thing that's permanent is the love of God, your perfect health. You got to keep going into that. You're perfect. Now, you can eradicate that fear. It's a big job because we can all freak if all of a sudden something is really wrong. We need to go within and we need to turn the thinking around on what the problem is. I'm down to a couple of minutes, friends, but practice on your headaches. Relax in the everlasting arms. Don't accept it. The way to work your way through a fear, if you're not doing it, acknowledge maybe you're not going deep enough and you just need to work harder at it, which is what we all do, and we all will do. Because when you have a little success, your success is bigger than you'll ever know, and you'll say, oh my God, I've grown, and it's wonderful. I've gotten the 1-minute signal, my friends, so in my enthusiasm for Joel Goldsmith, and thank you, Chris Bentley, please go to his website for terrific information. He's the real, he knows Joel very well. I just want to thank you for joining me on Awaken the Dream, and I so look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.